What's going on, everyone, from LowKick MMA? My name is Danny Podolsky, and I'm joined with Piera Rodriguez. She is set to return to the UFC Octagon on April 6th when she takes on Cynthia Calvillo. Piera, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you for the invitation for coming here.
Yeah, of course. All right, so first off, you're in Vegas this time now. The fight is going to be at the Apex in Vegas. You got to feel pretty good. You don't have to travel pretty far this time.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot. If you know a little bit about my past, I've been living everywhere. So now I'm in Vegas.
Yeah, I do want to ask though, because your last fight against Julian Robertson, you're in Kansas City, you got the hometown, or not even hometown necessarily, but you got the fans there, they're going nuts. And now it's back at the Apex where it's a lot more of a chill vibe. How do you kind of compare the two?
Well, I think I like more the Apex. I like both. They're both like very different, but I'm a fighter that doesn't go, to war so much because of the yelling, so I'm more technical. I like to listen to my corner to hear what they say, to do like strategy on the cage. So that's better on the Apex to do because when it's too many people, it's a little bit hard to listen to your corner, but it's always good. It's another feeling, when there is a lot of people that also motivates me, when they start yelling, and it feels like a drug, So it's like I like them both, but I like the Apex.
And I'll say the Apex has been very good to you throughout your career. That's where you picked up your, that's where you got your contract on Contender Series, where you picked up your first UFC wins. The Apex has been very good to you. Although I will say selfishly, I know a lot of the fans are going to want to see you back in front of the crowds again.
Yeah. I have very good memories on the Apex, so I'm very happy to be performance there again.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this fight, Cynthia Calvillo, she is, been around the game for a while, never fought for a title, but was in the top five, both at strawweight and at flyweight. This is a big fight, and she's off the back end of some losses. How are you, I guess, kind of approaching this fight with Cynthia Calvillo?
So yeah, like you say, she's a big name on my division. Yeah, I think in the UFC, she's been for so long. So I think everybody knows her. Everybody that watch a little bit of female MMA have seen some of their fights, So I think that's very important. And even though she's coming right now from a few losses, I studied these losses and these fights, and I think they were not so far away from the scores, So I think she's gonna try to make something like bigger on this one to get out of the losing, cycle. But like I say, she's a veteran, so it's a pleasure for me to fight her. Is a very important fight for me. I have seen her fights from a long time, so it's amazing that I can be here today, and trying to face her in 2 weeks, So it's amazing for me.
Yeah, definitely. From the footage you've watched on her, and certainly there's so much, footage of Cynthia Calvillo to study. What do you think gives you the advantage over her?
I think that I'm like I think like I'm younger in the company, so I'm more hungry, and I think she's gonna try to make a match, and I want to make a war. So that's gonna be the big difference on this one. I'm coming from my first lose. I never lost before my last fight, so it's like I want to kill someone right now. And she's the person they got me. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. I wanted to ask because, you were 9-0. You fight Jillian Robertson, the first loss of your career. And I know in that moment, it sucks, but it's been a year since that fight. First of all, like, how does the mindset change when you're coming off a loss and you're no longer undefeated? And B, like, what improvements have you made since that last fight? Because it's been a year.
So, yeah, it's been a year since that fight, and I think I changed so much. I already changed so much on my game for that fight, but I couldn't performance into that fight, because I think she's the highest level grappler on the UFC female roster. She has the best submissions. So I think after that fight, I noticed that I take away from my back a heavy weight, that is like I take off a backpack full of weight because I was like trying to keep going with this zero on my career, and I was not enjoying so much every time I go to the cage. I was like, oh, I need to keep my zero. I need to keep my zero. So it was more like a job to keep that undefeated, work in my language, in my life. And it was not like the beginning of my career. Everybody, when I start fighting, everybody thought like I was gonna lose every fight because they always put me with people with more experience, with people better than me. So it was like everybody was expecting me to lose. So in the last fights, it was like everybody's expecting me to win. So it's a little bit more pressure on my shoulders. But after all that pass, after I lose, after all this calm down, I think I create a new version of me, and that's what I'm gonna perform on the next fight. Is another level. Seriously, I think I developed so much as a fighter because of this lose.
Yeah, and it's really interesting for me to hear you say that because I know like a lot of times analysts will say like, when you're undefeated, it's like you mentioned, it's almost like you start to fight to not lose instead of just trying to go
Yeah,
out there. And you mentioned like, you're hungry, you want to kill your opponent and all that. And like I'm sure it's built up the fire, even though the loss sucked,
yeah,
I'm sure it's built up this fire that you want to go out and just take it out on Cynthia Calvillo.
yeah, absolutely.
So you're training out in Vegas at Extreme Couture. How has this camp gone for you, and who have been your main training partners?
So this camp is going absolutely great. That's another thing that I think is a key. The fight camp is so important. And on this fight camp, I get before starting this fight camp, I get ready of a lot of injuries in my body. I took care of a lot of injuries in my body after my first lose. So I start this camp like a fresh person, like coming from zero. Like my body feeling super good. So I developed so many new skills on this fight camp that I cannot wait to see it, on the big screen. And I've been working with some talented, very talented people, as Sabina Masso, who has like a very particular, body type. She's super long. She has some high kicks, amazing. I'm working also with someone that is super important for me, that it's been with me since my first fight. That is Jose Daniel Vargas. He's from Venezuela, and he came to Vegas to help me with this fight camp. And just that, emotionally is another level of support because he saw me from zero to UFC. I think he kind of built me up. Actually, he gave me my nickname, so it's like he's a very special person in my life. So these two persons have been super important. And also here in Extreme Couture, I have Coach Giff, that he helped me since I get here in Vegas. And he used to work with Cynthia a long time ago. So it's like everybody knows her around here. Everybody knows her in the sport. So now I'm fresh. I'm good to go, and I think it's gonna be a hell of a fight.
Talk to me about, the comparison. You used to train at Lilius Barnett Martial Arts in Spain, a bit of a smaller gym, and then you go to Extreme Couture where it's all these, UFC vets, even the fighters who aren't in the UFC, it's all these just killers in the gym. Kind of how does that change going from a small gym to the big gym where you get a lot more, different looks and high level fighters?
I think for me the gym is almost the same, because I come from Venezuela, so I come from a very, very low level gyms with, like all like broken backs and stuff like this. So I get used to train as hard as possible in like four walls. So I don't mind about the gym. And I think more than the big name is important, the vibe of the people, the feeling of the people. And I think thankfully I've been always been in super good environments and super good gyms. And I think Lilius Barnard, also Muay Thai, Juan Trigo, other gyms that I've been in my life, Black House, the one that I was before, and Extreme, they are all like the vibe that I'm looking for. I don't go to a place that I don't feel comfortable. I go to places that I feel like all people here is working hard. So I push myself. So I think it's of course is super like emotional when you go inside a gym and you see people like Strickland there, training. It's like wow, that's another level. But uh for me it's almost the same. It's about work, hard work every day.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned because I did want to ask you. Sean Strickland trains at Extreme Couture. He's made a lot of comments about women's MMA. How do you, as someone who trains them, I feel like if I were in the gym with a guy like that and he makes comments like that, I would probably say something. I mean, how do you feel about training with him?
You know, I don't mind, or I don't get on other people's business. So if he says that, I don't really know if he says that in front of camera because of something. I don't know why. And I'm not there to know why. I'm just there to learn from everybody. So I'm very humble when I go to a gym, and I just want to take the best from everybody. I try to don't put critics, like on the other people. I just trying to learn from the best they have. So yeah, is of course is I think about that topic that females can do very well in MMA because we already proved a lot of times. But I think is personal opinion, and that I don't care about that.
Yeah, I think again, I mean, for anyone who really watches the sport, the women's game is just as fun to watch as the men's game, and it really does kind of suck to see someone like Strickland, who has such a following and is a champion, make comments about the women's game because it's not really representative of what's really going on there, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes I take it like this too, but like I said before, I focus on me and I focus on learning, and actually I don't give a fuck what people say and do. So I'm just trying to be my best and do my best. And I'm pretty sure that if I get into that opportunity in life, if one day I'm a champion, I'm gonna be like my 100% to give my best to the people, to give the best advices to the people, to transfer the best knowledge that I can to the people. So everybody do what they want with their life. But I should think if I'm in that type of position, I'm gonna do something better for the world.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, I think no matter what, the women's game is here to stay and is fun to watch. So that I think doesn't really need to be argued. The 115-pound division's got a big title fight coming up, UFC 300, Yan Xiaonan versus Zhang Wei Li, the all Chinese strawweight title fight. How do you see that fight playing out?
I think Sean Weilin is gonna do it again. She's so sharp. I saw her training there in the PI a few times, and she's amazing. Just to watch her training is very inspiring. Because she goes like 100% every session, every second, every minute of the training. So she's a very talented fighter, and I think she's very mixed. So she has everything. She have striking, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. She have all the the big things on the MMA. So I think it's gonna be a good fight for her.
Mhm.
Tough, but it's gonna be a good fight for her.
And then so on this fight card, you're fighting on it's a Chris Curtis rematches Brendan Allen. Who do you think wins that main event on your fight card?
Chris Curtis. And actually he's training also in extreme, so I'm 100% with him on this one.
There you go. Yeah, and that'll be a rematch too. And Curtis won the first fight between the two. He knocked out Brendan Allen, and he's got a chance to move up the rankings. So that should be a really great fight.
Yeah, this guy is amazing. He has a very powerful hands. He really goes on the training session. So I hope him the best.
And so, I guess the last kind of subject before I end this one off, I do want to ask. You mentioned you're from Venezuela. There's a big scene growing in South America. Obviously, Brazil has always been kind of the, I guess, pinnacle of South American mixed martial arts. But we've seen guys like Chito Vera from Ecuador. There's a big Colombian scene. You obviously represent Venezuela. How does it feel to, I guess, represent your country? And are you hoping that we can get fights in South America, maybe outside of Brazil?
I think that's one of my duties. I'm trying to show the world that also Venezuela and have a lot of talent. It's not just Brazil, it's not just Colombia. Also Venezuela have a lot of talent in the sport. And of course, I support every South American person like if they was from my country, because we all share almost the same culture. But I think because of the political issues that has been in Venezuela, the world cannot see how much talent there is, So I think that's one of my labors to show the world that not just me, but there is a lot of young guys and girls in Venezuela that can do MMA like in a very high level. So I wish I can be like a leader, and I build them the path, so it's gonna be easier for them in the future.
Yeah, certainly. I love to hear that. I was talking to this fighter. His name's Balaji Oki. He's from Belgium, and he was telling me that he wants to kind of set the tone for Belgian MMA, and so it's awesome to hear you talking about wanting to kind of set the tone of like Venezuelan MMA. There's a lot of talent coming out of Venezuela, and I think it's definitely going to be a growing scene in the years to come. And you can kind of be the I guess one of the faces of that I guess uptick in talent.
Yes, yes, absolutely. My plan is to keep learning, and every time that I have the opportunity, go there and give some seminars, free to the young people that is like really trying to get it, really trying to like is making a big effort to make it in the sport, and just try to help them as much as possible, trying to transfer all the knowledge that I accumulate from other people from other countries, and give it a little bit to my country.
Awesome. Well, Piero, my final question, April 6th, Piera Rodriguez, Cynthia Calvillo. Piera, give me your official prediction.
My official prediction is gonna be TKO followed with a ground and pound finish in the first or second round. The latest, the second.
Awesome. Well, Pierre, I'm wishing you the best of luck. If there are any socials, teammates, gyms you want to shout out, sponsors, the platform is yours.
Yeah, just follow me in Piera La Fiera Instagram. That's where I share the most to my people. That's where they can see more of me. And also, of course, to my teammates, to Extreme Couture. Thank you so much for all the help for this camp. My manager Pedro Faustino, Ed Suarez, and George Guimares. Thank you so much. You're the best. And I'm here for all of you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Guys, Piera La Fiera Rodriguez returns to the UFC Octagon a few weekends from now at the Apex when she fights Cynthia Calvillo. You will not want to miss this fight. Piera, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.